Welcome back to the latest edition of Conference Chatter TV. My name is Eric Sorrentino. I'm the KUSports.com Big 12 blogger, here to reflect on Alabama defeating Texas in the 2010 BCS Championship. Congratulations to the Crimson Tide. 37-21 was your final, and it was an interesting game. I'm going to reflect on that here in a few seconds. But that was the last and final game I picked this year, picking all Big 12 games. That's what we did here on Conference Chatter TV, and it was a fun first year of doing it. So hopefully we can, I'll come back next year and try to improve upon my record. Speaking of that record, this is a final for 2009, 2010, 81-24 final record in the first season of Conference Chatter TV. That's a 77.1% clip that we picked at there. It was a fun year. It was a really fun year for the Big 12. Not quite as good as 2 years ago, but the conference had a team that played for the BCS Championship. It was a really exciting year, and let's reflect on that BCS Championship there. 37-21 Crimson Tide. A lot of bigger picture things were rather obvious after this game. Number one, the SEC remains the dominant conference in college football for the fourth straight year. There's no denying that. This is the fourth straight time the SEC has won the BCS championship. Before that, Florida had two, and LSU had the other. The second thing, the Big 12, 4-4 this year in their bowl games. Every team, with the exception of Nebraska, looked just okay. Nebraska looked unbelievable in defeating Arizona, but not the greatest postseason showing for the conference. The best the Big 12 has ever done in bowl games is 5-3. I thought the Big 12 would close the gap on the SEC a lot quicker, and it's just not happening. Not this year. And I don't see it happening anytime soon either. No Sam Bradford next year. No Colt McCoy next year. I don't have any idea when the Big 12 will get to that same level as the SEC, but it might not be anytime soon. And no other conference in the country has a good shot of doing it right now. I think the Big 12 has the best chance of doing it, and the SEC is 5-0 against the Big 12 in the last two bowl seasons. So case closed right there. It's the SEC's game right now. They have been dominant. But the BCS Championship, there's a few observations from my end of it. It was an interesting game, a fun game to watch. You hated to see Colt McCoy get injured, though. You would have hated to see, Mark Ingram get injured, or Greg McElroy for Alabama as well. You just want all the stars playing in this game, and it was unfortunate when McCoy went down. It really changed the entire flow of the game. McCoy, of course, injuring his shoulder on Texas's fifth play on offense very early. He wanted to go back in so badly, but, trainers wouldn't clear him. There were some interesting reports that came out. I think Yahoo Sports had a very interesting column about how he tried to play catch in the locker room with his dad and couldn't even throw it 5 or 10 feet. So it was a tough situation for McCoy, and it changed the game. It changed the game. Now, I'm not saying Texas would have won if McCoy was in there. We'll never know that. I mean, the game would have been completely different had McCoy been in it. The flow of it would have been different. Garrett Gilbert, admirable performance for a true freshman quarterback for Texas. He had a rough first half. He came back in the second half and made a commitment to find Jordan Shipley, and he did that. He found him for 2 TD passes. But he's a true freshman, and with true freshmen come true freshman mistakes, like 4 interceptions from Garrett Gilbert. You can't blame him for that. And, he played the best game that he could have played. And for a guy who didn't think that he would, ever get to come in and play in the BCS Championship as a true freshman, what more can you ask? On the other end, Greg McElroy, he only attempted 11 passes the entire night. He only had to attempt 11 passes. Nick Saban implementing a conservative game plan with Colt McCoy out. They just kept pounding the ball on the ground and demanding or daring Garrett Gilbert to beat the Crimson Tide defense. And why not? It was a great game plan by Saban. It let Texas hang around a little bit there in the end. The Longhorns cut the deficit to 3 points in the fourth quarter with 3 minutes left. They just couldn't pull it out there at the end. And who knows? Again, if McCoy is in there, maybe McElroy is forced to pass a little bit more. Maybe it's a closer game. And who knows? Maybe McElroy gets the job done. We've seen him come through in huge games, like he did against Florida in the SEC Championship game. So it's impossible to predict what would have happened if McCoy was in there. But game flow would have certainly been different, like I said. But the Crimson Tide, you got to give them credit. They ran the ball extremely well, particularly in the first half. 148 yards rushing just in the first half. With Mark Ingram and that impressive-looking freshman Trent Richardson, formed a very effective thunder and lightning combination, and it was a little bit too much for Texas in the end. So credit the Crimson Tide for doing what they've done all year. They run the ball, they pound the football, and they don't turn the ball over. And that was the formula for success for Alabama. They did it very well. For Texas, to me, this game was lost at the end of the first half. That was really, they came back, granted, and made it a very close game. But I think that the key play that lost it for Texas was that shovel pass at the end of the first half. Gilbert had the shovel pass intercepted by Marcel Darius, who, to his credit, made some impressive moves in the open field for a big fella. That was really impressive to see. What an athlete that guy is. But he returned it for a touchdown that made it 24-6 at the half, Alabama. When Texas could have just run the clock out, quarterback kneel, quarterback sneak, whatever, or handoff, end of the half, whatever. That wasn't the case. So instead of being 17-6 at half, it's 24-6. And that was a little bit too much to come back from. You never know. I mean, who knows if it's 17-6 and Garrett Gilbert orchestrates this comeback with two touchdown passes to Jordan Shipley, who knows what would have happened. But that was really, 24-6, too much to come back from there against a really good Crimson Tide team. And, Alabama, they won that game the way that they've won games all season, and I give them credit for it. Greg McElroy did not throw any interceptions. Ingram and Richardson did not fumble the ball. And they played sound defense. They forced 4 interceptions from Garrett Gilbert. There's your game, So credit Alabama for that. This is, of course, the second straight year that the Big 12 has fell to the SEC in the BCS Championship game. So it was an interesting game. Credit Alabama, and congratulations to the Crimson Tide. I think that's all the time we have for this episode of Conference Chatter TV. Again, it was a great year of making Big 12 picks. I'll be back again to do it next season. See if we can improve on that record and that 77% accuracy rate. So, guys, again, thanks for checking out the latest episode, and I'll talk to you again later on. Thanks a lot.